Hi, beautiful people. Welcome to the Fort Salem Library, where we read you your fanfiction. So sit down or don't, relax or don't, and enjoy these stories in a way you have not before. We at Fort Salem Library do not own Motherland Fort Salem or any of the related characters. The Motherland Fort Salem series is created by Elliot Lawrence and owned by Freeform. This story is a work of fanfiction and is meant for entertainment only. We are not making any profit from these stories. All rights of the original Motherland Fort Salem story belong to Freeform. We also do not own Bird Undead or any of its original characters and storylines. We did, however, get permission from the author to read their story. This story was created and written by the avid reader _ sometimes writer, and you can find the link in our show notes. This story is being read to you by Angela.
Bird Undead, Chapter 6, Found. She wakes up with a groan and her mouth feels dry. The shadow over her head is drawn back with a rustle of fabric, and she's quick to bring a hand up to shield her eyes and face from that horrible sunlight that now hits her. "You're an ass, Abigail Bellwether. You're a stubborn, cocky, arrogant bitch!" Rael's voice growls. It makes Abigail blink a few times to adjust the change in light before she looks over to her left where her companion is now sitting up next to her. The blonde's arms are crossed, and her irritation and displeasure are clear on her face and in her posture. No! Shut up! You get to listen. You passed out because your fucking arrogance made you ignore your body's warning signs. You could have died, and I'm tempted to kill you myself right now. No more seeds. You're not allowed to use any more work until we're out of this fucking mess. Do you hear me? The smaller girl snaps, her blue eyes steely and blazing as they pin her beneath their gaze. Okay, Rael, whatever you want. I was trying to save your life, shitbird. Again, the blaster retorts indignantly. Well, stop fucking doing that. None of it's going to cost you yours. You said it yourself. Tally's gone, and I'm all you have left of our unit. But what is it going to take for you to realize that it means you're all I fucking have of our unit too? You're the only person I have left in this world who hasn't left, died, or betrayed me in some way besides my pops. If you can't lose me, then I can't lose you either, Bells. So stop being so stubborn. I'm supposed to be the reckless shitbird, and you're supposed to be the steady leader that gets us out of it. The fixer explodes, her voice rising to a frustrated yell before losing steam and softening into something more choked and pained. The words hit Abigail hard, and she knows Rael is right. She's been so worried about trying to fix and do things out of her ability to help her companion that she'd somehow forgotten that they were both all that remained. I am sorry. You're right, and I'm sorry, okay? I'm also sorry for scaring you. You don't have to admit it, but we both know it's true. Let me do my job and get us the hell out of this mess. That way you can go back to being our reckless shitbird. Deal? The taller girl promises, looking for her eyes. Yeah. You slept through the night. I covered us with the jacket because it got windy, and this sun fucking sucks to wake up to. Rael agrees, filling her in as they get back to their feet. Good idea. How was your chest today? The blaster asks, running a hand through the back of her hair to try to shake out the sand that's clinging to it. Better. Still hurts, but the coughing hasn't come back, and I can breathe better. It looked like it's finally scabbing up when I refolded the bandage earlier, the blonde answers while she adjusts the belt around her body to make sure it won't shift. Abigail checks the sword and makes sure it's secure on her companion's back before scooping up the jacket and replacing it as a sun shield. She looks around her feet and locates the dagger, looping it back against her hip before looking over at the fixer. They share a wordless nod and start their walk again, like the day before. The sun is just as unforgiving as it had been, but it's worse, because it's still rising while they walk now. It takes most of the day, but the pair manage to get within clear sight range of the base installment just before the sun is half done setting again. A strong windstorm kicks up around them when they do, and Abigail recognizes that this one is far from being a natural occurrence. She reflexively stops her walk and puts herself subtly between her companion and where she's mostly sure the source of the storm is coming from. State your business! You're approaching a military base occupied by the United States Army. Where did you get that jacket? A voice barks sharply, when the winds finally die down. They're surrounded by at least 4 witches from the blaster's quick observation. It's mine, Privates First Class Abigail Bellwether and Rael Collar, United States Military from Fort Salem. We were separated from our squadron on a mission a few days out from here. Your base was to be our fallback point if we were unable to take our Alpha escape route, ma'am. Abigail reports formally, her back straightening into something closer to a stand at attention. Sergeant! These two claim to be those bodies you and your team were sent to recover. How do you want to proceed? The lead witch asks as another person comes to join them. Neither of them have ever been so relieved to see Anacostia Quartermain as they are right then. Prove it. Show us those are your faces and not ones you borrowed from the dead, Anacostia orders, her entire being guarded and emotionless as she tosses a flip lighter to Abigail. She flicks the flame to life and holds it near her face before bringing it close to Rael's as well, and nothing happens, so she closes the top again. Now you do the same. We've had to fight our way here and I'm so not getting captured out of everything. And if you think that you surrounding and outnumbering us will be any advantage, then you haven't had to deal with a bellwether in combat, and you're going to learn why that's a bad idea for you. The blaster growls, tossing the lighter back and glaring at each of the witches around them in turn. She may be in no fit state to put up much of a fight at the moment, but they don't need to know that. She'll take down as many as she can if she needs to. They'll have an absolute hell of a time if they try to get to Rael. The sergeant's face doesn't waver or change under the flame, and both girls' shoulders finally relax. Collar needs a fixer, Sergeant. She's hurt pretty bad, and my field aid training only goes so far, Abigail informs as she brings them to stand in front of the familiar vase. Very well. You were both reported KIA by General Alder and the strike team when they returned almost a week ago. Craven. The older witch nods, cutting herself off and starting to lead them back to the transport jeep the team had ridden out to intercept them. She's a biddy now. We know. We were there when that happened. Rael agrees, wincing and hissing as she pulls herself up to sit on the bench seat across from Anacostia, with Abigail quickly following and sitting beside her. The truck lurches and starts to rumble forward when the last witch climbs in and the first knocks on the window of the cab. Your mother sent me with the necro team to try to recover your bodies to be buried properly, and to see if your vocal cords had been taken by the Camry after your fall. Since you both are clearly not dead, I need to radio Fort Salem to update them on the situation, since technically I did what I came here to do. In the meantime, you aren't to speak a word of what's happened from then to now to anyone, until I'm told you'll be debriefed. Consider that information now highly classified. Understood? The sergeant tells them, keeping her voice just loud enough for them to hear as she looks between them. Yes, ma'am, the pair agree in unison. Good. I don't know how it's happened, but I'm glad to see you two alive and mostly well. I was told you'd been stabbed by an enemy assailant Collar, and that you, Bellwether, had been killed trying to save your unit mate. Anacostia sighs, sitting back against the canvas, but her eyes are softer when they fall over each of them again. That's about what happened, yeah. Rael shrugs and nods, sounding both amused and unconcerned. Well, I've got the sword, and the shitbird still got the hole in her chest to prove it, Abigail adds, nodding at the hilt still sticking up over the blonde shoulder. The older witch just stares at them with bemusement, as her eyes flick between both of them and the now noticed sword. The rest of the right back is done so in silence.
Please find the fanfiction you just listened to on Archive of Our Own and leave the author some love. Without them, this wouldn't be possible, and we want to thank them from the bottoms of our hearts for creating these amazing stories and keeping the show alive.